Hey guys, Caitlin Compass here. In this quick video, I want to help you reprogram yourself here in 2024 so that you can start dominating. Real quick, I'm Caitlin Compass. I'm an author. I'm a coach. I primarily coach on the inner game of life. It's my philosophy that when you fix the inner game, you fix your personal life, your business, whatever you're doing, your relationships will 10x. They will always grow. It's almost always, no matter what, your inner game, the story that you're telling yourself, that's holding people back. And I see it time and again where people, they fix the story, they fix that inner personal relationship, they 10x their life. So where I want to start, we want to reprogram ourselves to have a better life. How do we do this? We got to change the story that we're telling. The story that you tell yourself is one of the most important things, and yet it's something that so many people dismiss. They have this internal dialogue. They have this internal dialogue that they go through, and most of the time it's disempowering. Most of the time it's not leading to the results that you want in life. I hear it time and time again. So what's the first step in reprogramming yourself? Dude, you've got to take responsibility. You've got to own your shit. You've got to state the facts about where your life's at, where you're at, where you want to go, who you could be, what you're capable of. Because let's face it, you're capable of more than what you're doing right now. You're capable of more than what you're giving. And we all are. I am myself. This isn't to lay blame. This is to take responsibility. I know that every level I make it to, I can go to another level. And here's the deal. Pardon my voice, guys. Here's the deal. New levels bring new devils. I've done all of this work myself. I can speak on this stuff because I've been doing it for the last at least 5 years. I've gone through the limiting beliefs. I've worked to change my mindset. I've worked to change my story about how my life is going to be. And it's totally transformed my life. And I think if you'll listen and you'll take it to heart and you'll do the work, I think it can transform your life as well if you'll do those things. So you've got to own your shit, man. You've got to get clear. You've got to get on truth. And this isn't to lay blame. This isn't to talk about how bad you've had it in the past. Look, we've all had a past. I've had, shall we say, a more colorful past than most people. I've done a lot of stuff. Guys, I was a stripper for 6 years. I partied with celebrities. I slept with all sorts of girls. Like, I was drunk most of the time. Dude, it was wild. I've got a past. I'm not trying to hide that. What I'm trying to do is say, okay, how did I get there? How did I get there? And then how did I end up to where I'm at today? But I had to state the facts. One of those facts for me was getting clear about I grew up in a really confusing home. I grew up where on one side, I was taught to have values. And on the other side, people were modeling the exact opposite. It was like a Jerry Springer show almost. Dude, it was crazy. Like, my family on my dad's side is literal batshit crazy. And that's okay, man. But both of my grandparents on his side were also millionaires. And I was taught, hey, just do the work. Basically, just be a slave to them. You'll never be able to achieve the success that they did. So just shut up, be a good little boy, go do all the manual labor. I wasn't taught any higher level skills. I wasn't taught any of the things that I would need to learn how to develop into the man that I'm proud of. So it's confusing, but we've got to get clear on the facts. We've got to own it. And I had to own it. That is part of my journey, and that's going to be part of your journey. So if you want to reprogram yourself, you've got to get clear on the facts. And the truth is, reprogramming yourself is a lot of work, and not everybody's going to root for you. Not everybody is going to be right alongside. Matter of fact, most of your friends and family, you're going to start outgrowing them, and they love you. They care about you, but they also want you around. And I think it was Tony Robbins that said that most people are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer group. And that's so true. So we've all heard you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. We know it's true. And unfortunately, we fall to those standards, the standards of our peer group, which is why I had to cut my peer group off. That's why I restarted my social media at the start of 2024. I moved from Dallas over to Idaho, and I just said, you know what? That was a past life. That was past me. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm letting all of it go. And has it cost me? Yeah, it has. But that's the price of developing your future self. You have to kill off your former self. You have to let go of who you were in order to be who you can be. And it's very difficult to reprogram yourself if you're stuck around the same programming. If you're stuck in the same neighborhood where you visited the bars, everybody knows you by name, you've got all these friends that are inviting you to do the same activities that you've been doing that have been getting the same results that you're getting and you're dissatisfied with. That's part of it. So you have to be willing to let that go. And one of the fastest ways is just to change your proximity to that. Move across town. If you're like me, move 1,700 miles away, move across the country. But it's what I needed. I had to kill off that former version of myself. And here's something, I haven't talked about it in my videos. Kalen Compass is not my given name. Dude, I'm out to recreate myself. I'm out to create a different version of myself. I'm out to create a family legacy that I'm proud of. I wasn't born Kalen Compass. I legally changed my name in 2020 because I was so fed up with who I was being. I was so fed up with who I was, and I knew I had to make a change. To me, names are incredibly representative. They mean something. And I couldn't do that as my former self. I couldn't do that as that former person. I had too much baggage there, too much holding me back. Man, that was difficult, dude. Dude, I like, in all seriousness, dude, I went through it with the judge. I cried before, I cried after. It's really hard to change your name, especially as a man, especially as a guy. But it's something that I knew that I had to do, and I had to own my shit. I had to say, dude, I'm not proud of who I am today. I'm not satisfied with who I am. So we're getting to the reprogramming. This is part of it. This is part of getting on truth, stating the facts. And I'm not blaming my family. Look, if you're going to blame elegantly. Yeah, my mom and dad weren't perfect, but truthfully, they were better than a lot of mom and dads out there. They were better than 99% of them. Those are the facts. But they also had a lot of problems. Man, I learned a lot of things from them that also were holding me back, that were causing me problems, because I didn't want that same quality of life, man. I wanted something different. I wanted something more. I wanted something better. I had a bigger vision for my life. Dude, it's hard to change your name. It's hard to do those things because we love these people. But that's part of that story. So we're coming back to this. The story that you're telling yourself, the communication that you're having day in and day out with yourself is the most important communication that you're ever going to have. How you communicate with yourself. That is part of what will reprogram you. There's so many different ways to go about this. We can talk about limiting beliefs. We can talk about, different processes to cut through that. But here's the thing that always happens when people get to a point of reprogramming themselves. They have to have something. They have to have something where something shifts. It's an emotional threshold where they say, that's it. I've had it. Never again. No more. And everything will change. You'll find on the other side of that, you have a hunger. You have a hunger that you didn't have before. And you will find resources that you could not see before that magically start to appear. Why is that? You became obsessed with something. You became obsessed. You realized that you could be playing at a higher level. You realized your life is going to end. It's true for all of us. Life is going to end. And we only have this one chance to make it count. Now, I don't have anything for you. Whatever you believe, I respect it. Spiritually, that's not anything that I'm going to comment on here. But whatever it may be, you have to have that hunger. And you have to change the story that you're telling yourself. That internal communication about what does this mean? What determines the quality of life that people have? To a large degree, it's a story that they're telling themselves. Something happens and you ask, what does this mean? One person says, the universe is a kind and loving place. The other person says, the universe is out to get me. One person says, I'm never good enough. The other person says, this is just another opportunity for me to grow. So it's the story that you're telling yourself that you have to change, that you have to continuously reorient to this. It's not a one-way ticket where it's like, poof, I did the work, now that's it. There's a lot of people out there on the internet, they'll tell you, hey, you can just rewire your brain and you'll never be the same. Well, newsflash, dude, you're always rewiring your brain. You're always getting more information. You're always receiving different things. The question is what are you going to do with that information? And the answer is, you can tell a different story. You can tell a different story about who you are, about your place in this world, about what you're capable of. And then you can follow that up with massive action. If you want to reprogram yourself, you have to change your beliefs. Your beliefs will ultimately dictate your destiny, because your beliefs are those things that guide the decisions that you make. And decisions ultimately lead to results. Wouldn't you agree? The results that you get are based off of the decisions that you make. You get the result, and that determines your life. Sorry guys, I got some crazy turns coming up through here. And there's a lot of people on the road. That determines the quality of your life and how you choose to believe things work in this world. So much of life is just a social construct. So many rules are merely societally reinforced. They're illusions. And they're illusions that we've had from birth. We've been told stories about what we need to do. We need to grow up. We need to go to college. We need to grow up. We need to get a job. We need to save up. We need to this or that. Money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard for everything. Maybe you don't have to work hard. Maybe you can enjoy your work. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of working hard. But guess what? The story that you tell about the work that you do will determine your enjoyment of that work. And how you process that will determine how far you can go. Most of success in life comes down to perseverance. It just comes down to who can last the longest. So if you want to reprogram yourself, start changing that story. Start changing how you're communicating with yourself. And one of the fastest ways, besides moving as well, is to start changing your physiology. This is why I'm such a big proponent of working out. You change your physiology, you change the emotions that you're feeling. When you change the emotions that you're feeling, you change the decisions that you make. Let me give you an example. Haven't you ever been in a really good mood, and in that good mood, you would make a certain decision? Maybe you were more optimistic. You're like, you know what, I'm gonna go for this. But if you were in a bad mood, if emotionally you were feeling down and depressed, you'd be like, nah, can't do it. World's against me. There's too much here. Got too much anxiety, too much stress. You would find reasons not to do that. And here's just a little side quest. That's part of your state. Your state, and learning to manage your state day in and day out, is one of the most important things that you will do. Because when you can manifest this on will, you can just, boom, show up powerfully. You can say, you know what? I'm not in the mood today. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyways. And this isn't just discipline, guys. Because discipline will come and go. Willpower doesn't always work. It's actually training yourself. This is the reason that the military trains every single day. They train so that you don't rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your standards. I think that's actually a James Clear quote. Don't quote me on that, but it's so true. You fall to the level of your standards. And most people, if you'll just raise your standards, your entire life will change. Well, how do you raise your standards? Well, obviously you have to know which standards to raise. I cover that in my book. Some of the most important ones that I found for me. But more importantly, you can raise your standards by changing the story that you're telling yourself about what this means, about how your life is going to go. Because if you tell yourself, I can't do anymore, I'm never going to go anywhere, I'm not worth anything, your standards are going to follow that story. But let's think about somebody else. Let's think about somebody who has a desire to go be a fighter pilot or somebody of excellence, an Olympic athlete. What's the story that they're going to tell themselves? I don't care what obstacles are in my way. I don't care what is between me and that obstacle. I have a standard. And that standard says, I perform. I am outstanding. I accept nothing less than excellence. And when they implement that standard, think about somebody like Kobe Bryant. When they implement that standard, what do their actions follow up with? They show up early to practice. They do an extra practice that is not required of them. It's the story that they're telling themselves about their place in the world, about how they're going to go about whatever it is thereafter. Change your story and you will change your life. Changing your internal communication is not a one-way thing. It's something that, man, it's like training wheels. For some of you out there, you may need to put a reminder on your phone that goes off 30 minutes, every 30 minutes for the next month. And that reminder just beep, 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 boom. What does it tell you? Hey, what level of communication are you having with yourself? Is this empowering me or is this disempowering me? One way or the other, man. It's up to you. But you're only going to get the quality of life that you demand from yourself. And people that are world class, they demand more from themselves than anyone else could ask of them. That is what sets them apart. It's not that they have somebody forcing them to do something. It's that they demand more from themselves. And they demand more from themselves by controlling the conversation that they're having in their head. Sorry, I got a car pulling off here on a blind curve. That's kind of aggressive. It's the story that they're telling themselves that ultimately dictates the actions that they take. It dictates the decisions that they make, which leads to the results that they get. And those results ultimately typically reinforce the underlying belief. And so it's easier to act yourself into a new way of being than it is to think yourself into a new way of acting. So a lot of it starts with action, man. And that's why I say, set a timer on your phone. Figure it out. Whatever you have to do, you will slowly, and I want to be honest here, because there's a lot of guys, they're like, oh, you're just going to reprogram yourself and that's going to be it. Dude, it's work. But what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to get leverage on yourself? And do you want to live the highest quality of life possible? Because you know that you're capable of more. Because you know you have more to give. Because you know that on the other side of all of this work is a life you can't even imagine right now. So, guys, that's all I have for today. Change your story. Change the way that you communicate with yourself. Do the work to do that. And I promise you will change your life. Be great, everyone.